There you go.
Reminder, you're going to talk about, I asked you a simple question.
Well, you think, if it's such a simple question, why'd you ask it? Yeah, what was it?
About buying an iPhone and buying a phone at Fry, selling the iPhone, and you lost me.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about phone services and stuff too. I'm going to finish up with this reply email thing, and then we'll get to that. But there was a question before that you had too about,
Flip phone.
so
Are you recording?
yes, thank you. So he came up and he was starting to talk to me about getting phones that he can use other places and stuff. And I talked about one thing that I got my mom when she was alive that was really beneficial. And I got it at Fry's. It was about $60. It was a phone that can work on AT&T or T-Mobile. It's just a regular old phone, not a flip phone, but just a regular old phone. But the cool thing is it had a SOS button on the back. And you press and hold it for 3 seconds, and it lets out a big shriek. But the best part about it is it turns it into a two-way speakerphone and immediately dials 911. And it will also text up to 5 people a pre-done message. So it becomes the I've fallen and I can't get up type situation as a mobile phone. So again, you press and hold the button for 3 seconds, it lets out a bit of a shriek. That would be kind of your defense if you were in a parking lot. But in a situation where you're incapacitated and you let go of the phone, it then becomes a two-way speakerphone and dials 911. Okay? It's called Just 5, J-U-S-T and the number 5. It's about $60. It works on T-Mobile or AT&T, but there's no monthly fees for that other than your simple cell phone bill. So it was pretty cool. It works and it's unlocked. But the other thing you can do is, in your home, if you're caring for somebody that's elderly or you're concerned about it, a lot of what happens at home, problems that you get into are in the bathroom. Either slipping in the shower or things go wrong when you're on the toilet. Well, if you take up what I did for my mom also was any old cell phone you have will dial 911, even if it hasn't been active for 5 years. So I ran a power cable or power into the bathroom and hung the phone over the toilet paper holder. And so the phone was always right there, always charged, because the battery probably sucked on it, but you can always dial 911 from that phone. And the other thing too is this kind of safe room kind of thing. If you think about it, a bathroom is one place you can retreat to that's probably about the safest that you can get, because you can pretty well block that door. It's a pretty solid door because there's not big walls and stuff. So just something to think about on that. And, we all know people in those situations. If people also have a home alarm, a regular home alarm, sometimes they have the little fobs, you can arm and disarm them. Well, you can have your alarm company make that fob also into a panic button. Yeah, but that doesn't do you any good here because you're not at home.
No.
But that's a service you pay for monthly.
Right.
Okay, I'm talking about at home. Those, we all know about those, and they're not cheap. But this is your alarm, your home alarm, and if your home alarm doesn't have one of these fobs to turn it on and off, they can add it fairly cheaply, and it's no additional monthly service. It's just added on to your home alarm.
What do you call that phone again?
The one that I got from my mom, Just 5, J-U-S-T and the number 5.
That's your alarm.
Yeah, so here you can hand that up. That's to arm and disarm his alarm, but you can also set those to be panic alarms. Like we set my mom's up where he has one to lock, one to unlock, one if you're at home. Well, you can change those buttons. We had one for fire, one for police, and etc. Because it just sends a message to your alarm box. So, and probably costs you $50 to have that set up, and about $25 for each little key fob, and those can fit around your neck. The thing she has is wonderful because that's wherever you are. That's a, hey, I need help, come get me, something's happened. But in the near future, we're going to be doing that with our iPhones and with our Apple Watches. Because think about the possibilities of, I had a heart attack recently, and I was able to monitor my heart rate while I was driving myself to the hospital. So, okay. Well, okay. So I woke up on a Sunday morning, October 11th or 12th, whenever it was, and I felt a little peaked. And I'm going, geez, I just, and I didn't feel pain or pressure, and the only thing I felt in my chest tightness at all I felt was like maybe when you get a chest cold. It was really minimal. And then I started feeling really warm. So I'm taking my temperature. I'm checking my heart rate on my Apple Watch. I've got a Bluetooth blood pressure cuff. I'm checking all my vitals, and nothing's weird, but I just felt off. So then all of a sudden I got real warm. Took my temperature, no acceleration in that. Then I got clammy. I go, okay. So then I decided I'm going to drive myself to the hospital. We'll talk about that in a second. So I got in the shower, and warm water is a vasodilator. Don't get in the shower. I got a little lightheaded, and I don't know if I was feeling, but my symptoms were so minor, I wasn't sure I was having a heart attack. Only when I was putting all this together, I said I should drive to the hospital. So I did what you would think I would do. I get out of the shower, dry off. I put on my Scotty vest. It was a vest at the time, and there's 23 pockets. So I went over and I got my iPad and my iPhone, and I put all my chargers in here because I figure if I'm going to go to the hospital, I'm going to stay, I'm going to need all my stuff. So I got an extension cord, and I have this little, this is important. So I got the little Anker charger that has 5 USB ports on it, and then I also made sure that my laptop bag was in my car. I wasn't going to take that into the hospital because that would be crazy. So I drive from Sun City, Lincoln Hills. My phone is mounted right next to me. I'm still monitoring my heart rate. Everything's fine. And I have 911 on my phone ready to go. So I drove myself to the hospital. Unwise, except if you know me and you know most men, I would have waited a long time till I had very dramatic symptoms to call 911 because I wasn't sure I was having a heart attack. I had no signs of it at all. I got over there, the EKG was fine, but then they did a blood test and they found this stuff called troponin, which is what any distressed muscle puts out, this enzyme, and I had very low levels of it. But while I was in the hospital, my symptoms got a little, and as I was driving to the hospital, they got a little more demonstrative, but still, it was minimal. I still didn't think I was having a heart attack. I didn't have any predisposition to it other than hereditary. So I got in there, and when you go to the ER, if you have anything like that, they kind of get you through the ER really quick and put you in, and so they're doing tests, and then the blood test showed up that I had this troponin, and the troponin got a little bit more when I was there. So this is a Sunday, and then Monday morning, they did an angiogram through my wrist into my heart, and they found that I have one artery that's 100% blocked. It's been that way for a while, actually, and other sympathetic arteries had been filling the heart around it, and which is really bizarre because that's been there for a while because I know I used to be a pro ski racer and an athlete all my life, but with my body shape and the way I've been killing myself internally, I'd go up a flight of stairs and I'd be winded. And I'm going, okay, I'm fat and I'm old. Well, that turns out, because now, within 2 weeks after I had the stents put in, I can go up 3 flights of stairs and not get winded. It's because that was there and my heart wasn't efficient. But that's not what I was feeling and was giving me these symptoms. It was my other artery that was now 80% blocked. And my best friend is an ER doc, and when I told him which 2 arteries it was, the one that's 80% blocked, he says, oh yeah, we call that one the Widowmaker. So now all of a sudden I'm like, so I went in, they did an angiogram at Kaiser Roseville. I can't speak highly enough how great they were. They scheduled me, they did that in the morning, but they don't do stents there. They'll do it in about a month. Only if you're in dire need, emergency, can they do stents. The hospital isn't set up to do, they don't have the certifications yet. So they sent me down to Mercy. At about 2 o'clock on a Monday afternoon, they went in through my wrist and put 2 stents in my heart. They were able to open up the 100% blockage, which thank God, because it's made a huge difference in my life. And they were able to put a stent in the 80% blockage. So then they kicked me out the next day at 2 o'clock. And I stayed at my house, kind of not feeling sorry for myself, just going, God, I really hate that hospital bed, so I'm glad I'm out of there. And the next day we drove down to Stockton and we went and watched a hockey game. And 10 days later, I started walking. Every morning I walk now, and it's been amazing. But what was interesting is they give you a little heart class afterwards. And there were 3 of us that were Kaiser patients, because it was Kaiser docs operate on you in Mercy, and then there were Mercy patients. All 3 of the Kaiser patients, they had gone in through the wrist. All 3 of the Mercy patients, they'd gone in through the groin. And I asked my cardiologist about that, and they said, when they can do it, this is the new technique. And I mean, there's just 2 little holes they made in there, and it's amazing what they can do. And I'll tell you, it was an awakening, and I was glad I caught it when I did. And you know, now I'd already bought a season pass for this year for skiing, and now I can get in shape for it. And I've lost 45 pounds since then, so you know, it's the new. But I had all my devices with me, which was key. So you know, the first thing I do, I get into the cardiac ward, and I'm looking, okay, where are the outlets? Okay, I can put it, and what's the Wi-Fi password? You know. So.
Hey, Tim, you said you're old. I'm 84. You're young.
Well, yeah. I mean, 60 is. I'll be 60 in a few days, and thanks, but 60 is the new 40. So. You're but so when I'm monitoring myself, I have a Bluetooth blood pressure gauge. My blood sugars are not an issue at all anymore, but I still monitor them, and I have a Bluetooth thing that gives it, and my phone logs it. And then now when I walk every morning, I monitor my heart rate as I walk, and I can tell I have a target range I need to be within. I use the fitness app on this, and it logs my walking and also tells me what my heart rate is, so I can watch it all the time. But getting to this, there's going to be, we're no longer going to need these other devices. Someone's going to be able to wear their Apple Watch in bed, and if all of a sudden their heart rate changes, or they say, you know, this person's usually up by 6:30 in the morning and they still aren't stirring yet, let's vibrate their wrist and ask them if they're okay. And then if there's no response, it could be set to then send a message to someone or even call their doctor. You can set the parameters so that if a heart rate exceeds a certain amount, it could let a doctor know that. Now, yes, that can be invasive if you think it's invasive, but what a better way to be totally interactive with all your healthcare and stuff. And you know, it's not too far away. It really is. But these devices, these phones, I mean, 911 is just such a resource. I should have used it, but I didn't. But again, I would have waited till my symptoms were much more. So for me, this was the right course. And then my car at that point didn't drive itself, but it drives itself now. So I could have just let my car do the whole thing. But that's a whole nother story. All right. So back to the Mac and back to mail. So you'll notice I have multiple email accounts here on the side. This just doesn't usually show up. When you guys have it, actually, so there's different views of the mail, but I have inbox is the compilation of all my inboxes, and you can see here, this is my iCloud email. This is a different one I have. This is one of my Gmail accounts. This is another Gmail account. So, but rather than look at these individually, I click on inbox, and the nice thing is you'll see over here, it shows me which email box it came to. So let's talk about how I reply. I have my email settings set to composing. Oh, so here's where we do this. So I go into mail preferences. Remember on the iPad and iPhone we had mail, contacts, and calendars. Here we go to Apple Mail and into preferences, and we go into general. Is most of our stuff. I don't know why that's checked. You want to select junk in searching for mailboxes. But when we go over here to composing, when I compose, I can, brand new messages only can go from whichever mailbox I say. Yours by default will probably say account of selected mailbox, which I think is stupid because it means whatever mailbox you've last clicked on the left side. So if they send it to your AT&T, but you want it to go from your Gmail, it doesn't do it. So select which one you want to be the default if you're changing to Apple iCloud or Gmail. Set that as your default for new messages, okay? So I've got that set. So I'll close that. Actually, the other thing I always check in here, I deselect increase quote level. You know those little lines that march their way across as you go back and forth on an email conversation? I hate those, so I say keep those off. That's a little aside. Now, this email was sent to my Ken at kenspencer.com. Actually, let's do it to, well, here's one. So this one was sent to my kenspencer@mac.com. So if I'm going to reply to this email, it's always going to go from the email address it was sent to. And on my Mac, I can click on this and say, oh no, send it from this one. Remember how on the iOS device you had to tap it and tap it again. So that's how you can choose which one you do, and then you can make a signature. We're going to go briefly into signatures because I still want to get into contacts and calendars and show you some tricks, and they revolve around what we've done so far. So if I go into preferences, I've had to switch to, the other one didn't have any signatures in it. So I click on signatures down here. So you can see I have a little graphic I have here. Here's a class test signature. This is some sort of photo that I've picked. So let's just create a new signature. Ken Spencer, Mac Nexus, class. Okay, so I'm going to call that class, Mac Nexus class. Oops. So I hit the plus to create a new signature. Gosh. Oh, it's too long, probably. I'm not here if that's for me. Okay.
You can only do this on the Mac, not on an iPad.
I'm going to show you how in a minute. Patience. So I hit the plus. I've created the signature. Now the signature's created, but I haven't assigned it to any of my email addresses. So what I have to do is I'll drag it to each of the emails I want to use that signature in. That's an important step. So I have to create it first, and now I've put it in, and now when I go to this one, see that has one. There it's there with some other ones. Then there's that one. It's in all of these, okay? So let me show you how that works. Oh, then once I'm in it, and I'll use this one because, so here I have 3 signatures. Choose signature. Well, which signature do I want to use? No signature by default. Use Siri. At random, in other words, it'll pick one of your signatures, or in sequential order. So we're going to say Mac Nexus to be our main one. It's spelled wrong, but who cares? So that's on that one Gmail account. So now when I quit this, if I go to New Message, and I select my Gmail account, other Gmail account, I have too many Gmail accounts. All right, so anyway, we'll just pick this one. And then I go over here, and I can select that signature. No signature, or click Edit Signatures. And now it's there. Actually, this wouldn't be here. Oh, every time I clicked it, it brought the signature in from those that I was doing. So let's go show you what this signature looks like, just like that. Okay? A whole nother mail class would be how we would get these images in there. Basically, you have to have an image on your desktop, and you bring it in, and you can have images there. So this is a signature. What you would do is maybe get a signature that says, hey, please update your email address for me. I'm now using blah, blah, blah at gmail.com.
If you go up there to the signature, the drop down, you can have more than one signature.
Yeah, so if,
Depending on what I do.
yeah, so if I'm in my Mac, I have all these different ones. I've assigned those signatures to that account. First you create the signature, then you have to assign it to that account, and you can have the same signature in multiple accounts, and you can have multiple signatures in each account. Okay? And signatures, you know, I mean, it's, you can put whatever you want in them. Sometimes you may not want your address or your phone number on there. You may not want anything on it. You might want to say, oh, don't send me any spam. One of my favorite ones is I do this. It says, please excuse Siri. Sometimes she makes mistakes, but she still types better than I do. So now, if I send an email and I've used my Siri disclaimer on there, I can say whatever I want and I can get away with it because I can just blame Siri. So. All right, going to quit that and I'm going to go into a new message. This applies only to the Mac. Then we're going to show you about signatures on the, actually let's go right to the iPad and show you signatures on an iPad. So if I go to my iPad, I go to Settings and I go down to Mail, Contacts, and Calendars. And you'll notice this is divided into sections. The first section is Mail, and then the second section of Mail is Signature. And here's where you can create a signature. It's limited on graphics in there. Half the time it works, half the time it doesn't. Sometimes it works for a while and doesn't work. So don't count on graphics working on this. An emoji is a font, so emoji, the little smiley faces and all that, that's fine because that's not a graphic. That's actually a font, so that works. But anyway, you can change your signature here, and you'll notice it says all accounts or per account. So this one would only go to each account, and you'll notice each account I have different signatures for. I could say all account. I cannot have multiple signatures for one account. Okay? How do you create new ones? Do you have anything there? See, I already have them in all my accounts. Let me look on my iPhone. Isn't there a plus sign? Okay. Oh, you know what it is you already have all the accounts there because Apple says sent from iPad, sent from iPhone. So you just modify the ones you have. You can completely delete all the text and then it won't be anything. Or you can say, sent from my iPad, blame Siri, she makes mistakes, I didn't do it. Because you have them listed there, right? Is all accounts... Yeah, so all accounts sent from my iPad. That's your signature.
So how do we create a signature?
You modify the existing signature. Tap on that, and then you can modify it.
I see.
So they're all there. Now yours is on all accounts. If we hit per account, you'll notice then you get them for each account. So let me show you that on the screen. So if I say all accounts, I get one that works for everyone, or if I say per account, I get them for each one. And all I do is I go in and tap on this, and it modifies it. I just start typing. On the iOS device, you don't create it. It's already there.
We have to modify it.
You modify what's there. It says sent from my iPad or sent from my iPhone. You just add, you delete that and add or add to it. Are you on the signature page? So go to Mail, Contacts, and Calendars. Come down, you're on it. Come down to the second section below the word Mail. Do you see my screen? Look at my screen. So there's the very top where the accounts are. Fetch new mail. You'll see in gray, it says Mail. Then you come down here to Signature. Turn your iPad sideways. Turn your iPad sideways. You're not in Mail, turn your iPad sideways. You're not in Mail, Contacts, and Calendars if you're setting up family sharing. You're in iTunes. You need to be in Mail, Contacts, and Calendars on the side here. Yeah, you were in the account itself. If you'd attacked Mail, Contacts, and Calendars, it would have got you back to that screen. Okay. Okay, so let's show you on the iPad. When I create a new mail, I go in here and I create a new mail, and then you'll notice the signature just shows up here. Obviously, there's no choices again. It's set in there, but I can sit there and I can delete any of this or modify it by just kind of see there's a big blank space where my little logo would go. So I'm just deleting that and put whatever I want. Okay? Signatures are quite good, and again, especially if you're trying to let people know, hey, update my email address. But don't send the people you don't want to get spam from, don't send them your email address. This is your chance to break free and start the new year. Now, on your Mac only, when we go to a new message, it's totally cool because, and I'm just going to briefly go on these, we have a thing called Show Stationery. And if we click Show Stationery, oh, by the way, yours probably is icon only. If you control click, you can say icon and text so you know what these darn things mean. And look at this. We can say, oh, good. Let's make an email with this stationery on it. Most people will be able to see that. And I can add my photos to it by hitting the photo browser. And I simply drag a photo right to that. Yeah, it depends on if they're, as long as they're using, there's an old family shot from Hawaii. There.
Again, I did that for Christmas email, but all the photos were really dark. So my daughter said I should have saved the photos and used them as JPEGs instead of.
Then your daughter should be your tech support person. They were dark when people printed them, or you printed them?
When you looked at
You could lighten the photos up. They're no darker. They're the same they are in iPhoto.
so I could have edited in the photo.
Yeah.
And then dragged it.
Yeah. Good question. So what happens is, I don't think that they're the big version of the photos, but what happens is if they're not able to see your stationery like it is, they'll still see the photos as attachments and they'll still see the text. They just won't see this nice burlap kind of stuff around it. It's HTML basically, but some people set so they don't see HTML come in. That's their choice and they're missing out.
So you got there by opening mail.
Two things. I opened a new message. New message. The first thing I did is, well, I just delete all my signature stuff so it doesn't get in the way. And I clicked Show Stationery and I picked one of the stationaries. And then I also clicked on Photo Browser. The Photo Browser goes in, and in my case, it reaches into both photos and, supposed to. It was up a minute ago. Hello. There we go. Whoa, mail quit unexpectedly. I was asking it to do too much. Yeah, but I'll show you how to attach photos on your iOS mail. So if I go to New Message, Show Stationery, click Photos again, and then I click Photo Browser. It's a little tough because it's going in and trying to get Aperture, iPhoto, Photos, etc. So, and then it respects your albums too. You'll notice your albums are listed there. So you can go in if you had certain albums, like here was a Mac Nexus class, and there we go. There was my red eye in my photos class. And then here's some sunset photos from backyard. So anyway, you just drag the photos over there, but let me show you what to do if you just want photos on your email. You click New Message, and you click the photo browser. It's going to crash again. There it is. You can simply drag your photos right to the mail from here. I don't know why that's not. There it is. Okay, and then you can adjust the size of the image because this isn't constrained within that template. Did you have a question? Okay, it's okay. You can scratch.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, you'll see right in here, right here, I can adjust the image size. Actual size, that's way too big to send. Okay. I can enlarge, medium. So what happens, it also shows you what the size of the email is. Let's watch what happens if I send, I'm going to put a bunch of these photos on here. I'm going to drag these all to it. So if I go, it shows me the size of the email of all those photos. So if I go actual size, it's 16 megabytes. You never want to send an email. I say don't send more than 5 megabytes. You can't send more than 10. Some people can send 10, but the other people can't receive 10, more than 10. So just keep it under 5. But that, nobody, you can send individual photos if they're going to want to print them, but they don't need to see that photo in that big a screen, okay? So if I just go here, I'll say medium, and now look, it's less than a half a megabyte, and that's plenty fine to send.
Smaller the image, the clearer.
No, smaller the image, not the clearer. Just the clearness is the same. It's just scaled down, so it takes up less space on the email. All right, let's go to the iPad, and we've got signatures all done. So if I go to a new message here. New message. Now, you'll notice if you're running iOS 9, which I hope you are, it's great. There's some other things on my keyboard these days, but if you'll notice over here, I have a camera. So camera doesn't mean just take a photo, it means reach into my photo library and give me a photo. I'll pick that one. And I'll say use, and that attaches it to the mail. We'll go back over that. I'm gonna hit the box with the pencil in it to create a new email. I don't put this up, I don't want a photo up in who I'm sending it to, because that won't know. I tap in the main body, and now you'll see I have a camera over there. I tap the camera, and it goes into my photos roll. And here we go. I tap it and say, come on. There it is. Oh, see this little clock? That photo didn't exist on my iPad. It was in my iCloud photo library, so it's having to download it. My thumbnail was there. So to save space, it only has thumbnails. It's going and downloading it, and it's taking a while. So, because our internet sucks. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to find one that we did before that was there. Test. I know it exists here. So I tap that. And then I hit the use sign. And there, it puts it in.
You have to have the latest version of the iPad?
You have to have iOS 9 to have that there.
Effective 9.2, I'm not getting
I'm not
it.
gonna get it either, 1.2.
That only works for the iPad, not.
Yeah, this is on the iPad only.
She's got, I don't get it either.
You have it now?
No, I can, with mine, I'll go to settings and.
No, just go to that. Well, I'm going to show you an alternate way that works on both of them. We're going to go right to photos. Because this was just to show you in concert how it works on both. If I go to my photos on my iPad, here we go. Now, you'll notice there is an inconsistency in Apple. Remember our arrow before was a swooping arrow to reply and to share and everything. Now it's a box with an arrow coming out of it. Do my screens flip? Oh, because I'm in photos, you can't see it. Hang on. We can fix that. When you go to photos, it wants to display the photo as a slideshow for you. So if I go here, see the box with the arrow coming out of it? Look on my iPhone. See the box with the arrow? So now when I tap that, then I get this. Now you see the screen here. Look on the iPad screen. And now I can select multiple photos, and then I hit mail, and now it fires it up in a mail and those photos are attached, okay? So that's all pretty good for a photos class. All right, so I want to go in to Apple Mail and we're going to show you how it ties in with contacts and address book. So I sent myself an email at, gosh, watch, it'll probably be in the spam folder. I sent myself an email last night, 12:24. Okay. Oh, actually, first we're going to get the one from Andy Petro. Please make this, darn it. Oh, so I'm going to go find an email from a guy named Andy Petro. So I go up here to this little box in the upper right on my Mac. Andy, and it says, oh, I want to see emails from Andy Petro. And of course, this thing isn't going to do what I wanted it to do. Oh, because I'm not running. Oh. All right. I didn't boot into El Capitan on this computer. So anyway, what I was going to show you is in El Capitan, which I'm running on the other partition on this computer, and I put my MacBook away.